Okay, but here's the Longhorns. They lose last night. As I mentioned, the Georgia game was rough first half, down 7. They blow out Georgia in the second half and played their best 20 minutes of basketball. And it looked like they picked right up in the first half yesterday or last night.
They skip a beat for a little bit.
Man, they were up 14 at one point in the first half.
Them.
They were knocking it down, but the 9 turnovers will go overlooked by a lot of people. Those 9 turnovers, a lot of them were self-inflicted. That prevented that from being even a wider margin because they had Auburn on their heels. They came out with a great game plan. Dalen Swain was playing great. Cam Heide was knocking down threes. Matis was playing pretty good.
He was getting some foul stuff down low with that guy.
Mixing it up.
With Jokic, what was his? Novich, something along those lines.
Yeah, but boy, without those 9 turnovers, they cut that in half. They could have been up. They were up 8 at the half. It could have been 15 or more, and they didn't. And then the second half, here comes the adjustments. Here comes Keyshawn Hall, and then the parade to the foul line. And they started really attacking Texas. And as we heard last hour from Sean Miller, our on-ball defense is just not good.
No, it's not.
And as he said, we scored 82 points. We had a great shooting percentage. We only had 11 turnovers and only 2 in the second half. We did everything offensively we needed to do. We just gave them 25 foul shots.
Right. When they cleaned up the turnovers in the second half, right? You said 9 in the first. They go to get them to the stripe, and that's just how they've been losing these games here that they've had they haven't been. They were winning that whole game until 5 minutes? It was really 25
and really the
minutes of ball.
The backbreaker in that game for me, there were 2 late. Texas was still in the game and a chance to win, but a kid that doesn't shoot threes, Kayshawn Murphy, banked a 3 from the top of the key. Like, banked it. I mean, this is when if you're at the playground, you're like, oh, come on,
Call glass.
And it was from the top of the key, and it banked in.
Thrown in a clunker.
And then Cam Heide fouled a guy on a 3-point shot. Those 6 points are the margin of the game.
Have that.
And it was just his, hit his arm. It was like, you can't do that, Cam. Just get out, let him shoot it. If he makes it, he makes it. But don't send him to the foul line for 3 shots, which he did. That Cam Heide's not a great perimeter defender, but right now that's where they're at. And the biggest problem, as we've said, the ceiling and floor of this team for me is Tremont Mark. He scored 4 points last night.
When he's off, he's off. When he's on, he's on.
And he had been on real big time, but they're not going to win on the road if Tremont Mark scores 4 points.
Nope.
And is in foul trouble the whole night. Only plays 22 minutes, and that's disappointing. But the positive side, 2 things. Texas's next 5 games are against 5 teams who are at the below and at the bottom of the conference.
Right.
As we said last hour, Texas sitting at 3-5, but if you want to be optimistic, they go to Oklahoma this weekend, where everybody wants Porter Mosier fired. They're 1-7 or whatever in the SEC. They find ways to lose. They also then will come home to welcome South Carolina, who's a 1-win team. Yeah. And then look who's coming back the week from Saturday.
Chris Beard.
Chris Beard comes back with his Ole Miss team, who are right now 3-4.
Right.
And right there with Texas.
Exactly.
And then they have a game at Missouri, who's at the bottom of the conference or near the bottom.
Yeah, about the same tier.
Tough place at Columbia, but they're not as good as Auburn. Auburn's now 5-3 and have won 4 in a row.
Right.
And then they go to, and then they come home for LSU, who's a 1-win team.
LSU, and then I think later on, we're getting down the schedule.
Well, the next 5, though.
Yeah, those 5.
If they can go 4-1 in that stretch.
Sure.
And put themselves at or a little bit above 500, because
right.
4-1 stretch would put you at 7-6.
That's correct.
And an opportunity to.
They're 3-5 right now, right?
Yeah, and so you get to 7-6. Gosh, go 5-0. That'd be you'd be optimistic. Those are teams that are below you in the standings, all of them outside of Ole Miss, and that's on your floor. You get to 7-6, 8-5. Then it gets tough again, right? Then you got Georgia, and you got the Aggies, and you got Arkansas, and you've got 4 really teams that are at the top of the conference. Then that will decide it. But if they can get on a 5-game run here,
right,
they can put themselves, because again, the goal of this year for Texas in year 1, 6 months into the Sean Miller experiment when the season began,
we said just get them dancing, right?
Get to the
tournament.
dance. And they go 4-1, 5-0 here.
For sure.
They could put themselves in position to be dancing.
Yeah, they get OU at the end of the year, their last game too. So
right.
You would hope that's a win at home.
Well, so that if you can pile up 6 more wins,
yeah, right,
which gets you to 9, and you go 9-9 in the conference, 10 11 and 9,
the SEC, sure,
or 11-8, whatever the conference title would be, you have a chance. And if you're going to do it, it's Dalen Swain. He had 30 again last night.
He did.
This guy's tremendous.
Man,
he was part of that 3-point barrage in the first half. And listen to Sean Miller last night. He was asked about Dalen, and the kid Keyshawn Hall's on his 4th team in 4 years. I mean, I was like, he went to UNLV, he went to UCF, and now he's at Auburn. Dalen Swain's been on 2 teams, but he's always been coached by Sean Miller, and Sean wanted to talk about him last night after being asked, because he's been recruiting Dalen Swain since he was in 10th grade. So knows him well and has watched this young guy blossom.
I've seen Dalen grow. It's kind of like a throwback story of how it once was. where you recruit somebody as an 11th, 10th grader. You get to know them. You bring them on an official visit. You try to convince him that you're a coach, that we have a place that he can grow and develop and reach his dreams. And then he says yes. And you see this young freshman. Dalen came to us at Xavier at about 6'7", 178 pounds. So he's 6'7", 178. And today you saw him at 6'8", 220. And he's just incrementally, I would say, like every 3 to 6 months, summer included, just worked and gotten better and improved. And he's playing at a very, very high level right now. And it's great to see. Like all of our players, I think he can be even better defensively. But it's hard for me to say anything other than just a bunch of superlatives when a guy comes here at Auburn and gets 30, and he was 10 for 16 from the floor.
A really good player. And that's cool. 160.
42 pounds.
And I said, when he was in Columbus, where he grew up, he was a tennis player.
Yeah.
Like he was a pretty high-level tennis player. But now all of a sudden you're 6'7". But we have some 6'7" tennis guys out there these days.
Of course.
Like big old monsters with that huge serve. But he's got great feet. He's developing into a great player. And they need Tremont Mark to meet that. They need to be better. And we'll hear from Sean Miller later about the foul issues. Actually, let's hear from Sean Miller about this fouling problem that they're having. It's ongoing. It's as he said, the offense is top 10 in efficiency. We continue to kill ourselves with our inability to play on-ball defense without fouling.
Late January, my team went 26 for 50 from the field, 12 for 26 from 3, 18 of 23 from the foul line. We had 11 turnovers, but we only had 2 in the second half, and we scored 82 points. We lost. If you look at our second half defense, I mean, if I went out there with 4 instead of 5, I don't think they would. I think they would have got more than 88, but maybe like 94, 96.
We wouldn't have been any worse with 4 guys out there because they made 70% of their shots in the second half. They got red hot, and we put them at the foul line a bunch.
We had 0 answers. I think at one point they were shooting over 70%. Just again, if you get to the free throw line 28 times and a half, that's total dominance, and that's how it felt, And we have to look at it. We've been looking at it. We're a better offensive team than defensive team, but I've been doing this enough to at least know this, that when you get deep into a conference season and you're fighting good teams, good coaches, you have to be able to defend and play offense. You're not going to be able to say, hey, tonight's our hot night and we're going to go get one. There's too many good players on the other team. There's too many good teams and coaches in this league. So, our defense, it has to get better individually, collectively, and we're going to stay at it and keep hitting that rock.
Yeah, keep hitting that rock. And now you got 5 winnable games. Will they win them? Yeah. This will determine if they're going to be, because right now with Joe Lunardi and the bracketology, they're on the bubble in like first team out, first team in, last team in, whatever.
Last team in before this game,
If they go on a 4-1 heater here
with
the Georgia win last weekend and, a close 6-point loss at Auburn where a guy banked a 3 and you fouled a guy at the free-point line. That was a competitive game, down to the end. And you have a finisher. You have a great player in Dalen Swain. Let me say this on Dalen. He's playing like an All-American.
Yeah.
Like literally a first-team All-American player.
It's going to be hard to keep him on campus. The NBA is going to be calling for him.
In SEC play, this guy is averaging, his last 3 games, he's averaging 30 points.
That's insane. In college basketball, this ain't the NBA, right? There's defense actually played.
And in SEC play now, he's averaging over 21 points a game.
Yeah.
So you got a guy like that. If you can get complementary pieces around it, including Tremont Mark playing more consistently, you've got a chance in these next 5 games, and then you go from there.
Safe to say, very, very important February for the Longhorns basketball team.
Huge.
I mean,
it always is.
It always is, sure.
Because you're 9 games in now.
But you mentioned you give those teams. There's only maybe Ole Miss and Missouri are somewhat on your level. You can beat those teams if you go 4-1 here. That should be the goal. You can get one kind of mulligan.
That Missouri game on the road, because 3 of those 5 I just mentioned, 2 are at home, 3 are away. But the one away starts with Oklahoma. That becomes huge. And
that has to be a win.
That's your 9th conference game,
right?
And Texas has always played well at the Lloyd Noble Center, but this is Sean Miller's first trip into that. But, you get the OU game, look out, because then you got the home game with Chris Beard's team. You got South Carolina's terrible. So an opportunity. But you got to play to your level and keep beating that rock, as he said. But we'll see. But, 9 in, and then you play 9 more. And 18 SEC games.